Yim Yabba Shim Yal Shabba Shim Rakakadash Brakadam, double honors to my elder apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this information. And salutations to you brothers on the highways and byways teaching the truth and true sincerity. We're all risking our lives to teach this truth, man, under the banner of Great Millstone, representing the testimony of Yahweh Shim Yal Shai. All right, we're representing the Lord, all right, in testimony that he will prevail. The Lord will prevail. Yahweh Shem Yahushai will prevail over these other nations in this final conflict, this great and vast judgment, Yahweh Shabbat. All right, that's coming on the earth here soon, and we have all these events, various events occurring around the world that are allowing us to see the alignment of this ultimatum. But I got it queued up through the Spirit of the Lord. Thank the Lord for this. And it's the Shabbat, it's the new moon tonight. So salutations to you brothers that are tuned in and are able to be a part of this right now. This is Jeremiah 25:15. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh of Israel unto me, take the wine of the wine cup of this fury at my hand. So you got a picture of a wine cup going around. All right, being passed around like if you're drinking and you're chilling in a calm environment, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. So every nation of people, and they're all biblical identities, and you would know this if you knew the Lord. And so this is why we are able to interpret it, starting with the elder apostles at Great Millstone, to the elders in other respective camps, and brothers around the world that teach in truth and sincerity, like we hope and pray that we do, in the Lord's name, which is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And the Lord said he would maintain us for his namesake. And so that's exactly what we are maintained for, not for our own vanity or our own glory or our own capability, but for us to be used as instruments to define and testify the glory of our God, which his name is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right. And he will maintain control over the earth. He will reestablish control over the earth, over the so-called Jewish people, over the state of Israel, over the central bank, over the elite families, over the self-proclaimed Caucasian white supremacist regime. He will. And it seems like a mockery now, especially to them, because it's a morale thing, like when you're surrounded by a vast enemy, an enemy that, that you probably have no opportunity of, chance of defeating, kind of like an Alamo situation. I hate to compare it to it, but it's like an Alamo situation where, like, in the status of where we're at is in Israel, as being the real people of the Lord today. We have no choice but to hope for salvation from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And that's what will happen. All right, so let me get into this real quick. And so we're picturing a wine cup here, and it says 17, then took I the cup at the Lord's hands and made all the nations to drink unto whom the Lord has sent me, to wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Judah and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation and an astonishment and a hissing and a curse, as it is this day. And so we can say that, yeah, we fucked up, man. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that's us. Yeah. And even myself, which, grew up without really an identity because, I'm a what they would call a biracial child. And, and so that's what we fell from grace. That's why we're in captivity now. So we're a hissing, we're an astonishment, and we're a byword, we're a desolation. We have no hope. Our only hope is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Our only hope is in the night sky at night when we look up and we see the movements of the chariots, of the Most High, and how they get closer to us, how these prophecies from year to year keep coming to pass. It's a fearful thing. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants and his princes and all his people. And so that's the identity of the oppressor. All right, the image of the oppressor that runs parallel in the understanding of the scriptures, man. So this is what you understand. If you're an Israelite, you'll be allowed to understand. the parallel understandings of being in captivity, because there's all been one translation as to why we went into captivity, and that's for disobedience. And the translating factor is that we went off and we were disciplined for it. All right. And then the only difference back then is that we were at some point allowed to come back until this final time, which has been this long oppression, this long captivity, which would be written that we would go into by the prophets Jeremiah and Isaiah and Ezekiel. All right. And ultimately that are playing out today when we're in this north land. We're in this Assyrian captivity in this north land, but as it was with Pharaoh, as it is today in Assyria, and the northern Assyria, the northern CENTCOM, Rome land, all over again, America. It's all over again. It is. And you'd be a fool not to see it, and the Lord would veil you, I fear for you, because the Lord said, woe to the man that he alloweth to prosper to his own demise. Scary things, man. And so the wine cup y'all sipped on, and all the mingled people, and all the kings of the land of Uz, and all the kings of the land of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Azah, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod. All right, that's Amalek. Listen, that's Amalek. Edom, Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyrus, and all the kings of Zidon, and all the kings of the isles which are beyond the sea, Dedan, and Tamah, and Buz, and all that are in the utmost corners, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Shishak shall drink after them. And that's the cup of the Lord, that cup of indignation. And that will be the choices and allowances for them to reign control over the world, these heathen nations, to their own consequence. And they've developed their kingdoms with their hands, and by the Lord's law and his statutes and his judgments, he will judge them righteously, and has begun a righteous judgment to come upon them. All right, and that's the visitation of the Most High. That's the visitation of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to this generation we live in today, which is a very, very wicked generation. All right. Luke 11:50, that the blood of all the prophets, all right, from the beginning, from this whole story that's played out, all right, from the rise and fall of Israel, from the first kingdom to our ultimate captivity that we've gone into, the long captivity we've gone into now, where the white supremacist model has been allowed to prosper, and we're in captivity under the heathen nations and the white supremacist, the white terrorist nation known as Esau Edom, so-called Caucasian white terrorists. Luke 11:50, that the blood of all the prophets which was shed from the foundation of the world, from the beginning, all right, may be required of this generation. And that's what it's coming down to. Because they murdered him, all right? They murdered Yahushua. They murdered the disciples, which in the regeneration today would be us, Brothers be trying to be humble, but like that's the only possibility, that it comes down to. And, we say this humbly, and we say this started with the other apostles at Great Millstone, giving double honors to them, that we hope that we are that chosen priesthood, all right, chosen generation. 1 Peter 2:9, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. And the marvelous light is us in this captivity, in this time right now, being allowed to know that we are the Lord's people, that he's coming back to save the elect and the 1/3. All we got to do is just try and listen and try to observe his commandments. There's a holy calendar that we have to observe in terms of our sabbatical commitment. We have a sabbatical commitment, man, with this covenant. And we ought to try at least to keep that, when we can. Not to be a hypocrite, because I'm far from perfect myself, and we are all, you know, sick with the sin, man. We need the physician. All right, we need the physician. Who is that physician? That physician is Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. All right, and so when he comes back to wage war with these heathen nations over power and possession of the earth, all right, because what they're fighting for is like a world title belt. It's like, who's gonna run the world? And that's why you got China trying to line up their shit like, oh, we're finna run the world next. And then you got, America and NATO, as they already do under the central bankers, trying to posture itself like wish a nigga would type shit. And then you got Russia and the BRICS and the China, which the central bankers on the opposite end have funded both sides and allowed to prosper, to ultimately oppose one another and their new world order establishment, and you know for their reasons, and then their reasons of evil and reasons of wickedness, the elites, because that's their heart. Their heart is ultimately corrupt and evil. That's the spirit of Satan in them. They run off of greed. That's why the 1% owns the entire world. You understand that concept, right? The 1% owns the entire world. Where we are distributed what they would perceive as essentials. They're allowed to live in excess and in fatness and in grace. There's reasons for all of this, which we're going to get. All right. It says, because like I said, I'm not perfect. It says Mark 2:17, when Yahushua heard it, he said unto them, they are whole they that are whole have no need of the physician, but they that are sick, I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. And so that's my mission, and that's what we're trying to do here at Great Millstone, which is alert our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We've been deceived. We have been deceived by the democratic central banks, the government that everybody has grown up to cherish and sing praises of, is ultimately out to financially rob you, deprive you, and eliminate you, according to the Georgia Guidestones. Let's see what the market. Because if you don't take that chip, they're going to kill you. That implant, that digital currency spending implant that they're going to try and pass out, when the dollar collapses, when their hyperinflated model collapses. And that's going to be due to either this economic war that they're in or actual physical conflict. And that's going to be the return of the Al-Bashim Yahushai, which is already occurring. All right. This is why they're so concerned with the truth, because they see these chariots, they see these vehicles and instruments of the Most High, and they're shook, man. That's what it comes down to. They're shook. Revelation 16:2, and first went forth and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. And that's the curses getting laid out on your ass, man. If you take that chip, if you take that mark of the beast, man, if you take that RFID implant, everybody just joshes off and jokes off. Well, they putting all these chips and cards and chips and everything, trying to centralize shit. You know, I, we gonna be like, look, man, we told you, we've been telling you, and my elders and apostles have been telling you, you know, since the '80s, man, since since the Lord allowed us to come back to this information, man, to the intercessor, to Yahweh Shai, and to this understanding that we are the Lord's chosen people, man, because this is the end of the era of wickedness. All right, this is the end. The beast is ultimately going to rear its ugly head in the form of the American government. All right, and it's gonna bite a lot of you people in the ass, man. The American government is gonna bite a lot of you people in the ass, and they're gonna betray you um, to your own demise, man. They really think less of you, and so when this occurs and this martial law happens, we need to be in a fearful state. Pray to our keeper if we're Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Pray to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Pray for guidance. Pray for mercy. And we all will live out our lot, man. We will all live out our destiny and our fate. And we all know that regardless of where we end up, that on the other side, after World War III and after the Great Judgment, that the elect will be allowed to prosper under Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and Yahweh Shai directly. And that's the 144,000, the 1/3. And there'll be a righteous government and an establishment on earth. The earth will be rebuilt and purified again, spiritually purified and rebuilt to the foundation. And I mean an elemental foundation, because after nuclear war and radiation is on set on the planet, it'll be uninhabitable. But through the elect and the Elohim and the foundation of the earth, and through the Lord's remnant, they will be given spiritual powers to control elements and physics and elements of the earth and the world and reality as we've come to know it on every level, man. And that's through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They're going to gain that power, that spiritual power. And that spiritual power has been given to the elder apostles at Great Millstone to even have the eyes to see this, man. To be able to give this information to us, We got to be grateful to the Lord. Anyways, I hope this video was edifying. Shalom.